Chapter 1001 Infinite Oblivion. Hands lift fragile hearts, saving them from falling dark. Light returns to you.
You saved Anne's children and our reputation. We're even.
Ambassador Radical. They teleported up behind us. I was surprised it wasn't the floating ones that got the drop on us. Tennessee was struck down unconscious, not dead. Bleeding men are still alive. Broken collarbone, most likely. Weak bone, maximum pain, system shock, downward strike, and minor bleeding. The sentry turrets kept firing down a fortune in illuminated flying real estate, but without Helldivers keeping them stocked and positioned, it was time measured in brass-jacketed rounds. One rocket was left of frozen Helldiver assets, waiting to reach safety. I had my LAZ-16 sickle blasted into melted plastic plasma. Stupidly big gun finally put its size to use. I had one grenade, no normal stims, and no nanite-held stims left inside my body. Two illuminated warriors had played with me, wondering why I could take such a beating and still stand up. Then, after being knocked prone, my little Knott's knife stabbed one squith in what passed for an ankle and grabbed the dropped plasma gun staff. The mortified warrior was about to charge me, but the second one stopped him, told him he was losing water, and to patch the puncture. To my own surprise, I could understand their psionic speech. To be fair, attempting conversation with water-mouthed enemy wasn't on my priority list during the mission. I quickly coded in a forward directional stratagem. I tossed it away in a random direction, like an afterthought. The other squith walked forward with his staff. Perhaps there was some kind of honor this one had developed. He allowed the single combat with the other squith, and now came to do the same. Then it laughed at me. My rage overtook me. I know you can understand me, monster. The squith took a step back. A human with psionic speech. Light projection, but the squith was strong enough to hear me. I hear you laughing, squith. But let me remind you that within this plastic armor is a weak, moist bag of meat and bones, raised to abandon all he loves to war against the oblivion of his race, given only the freedom to die for his goddess, who will be wept for by none at his passing, other than to be added to the list of dead. This human is the ender of your song. In this costume thin armor with disposable equipment is just a human that carries the hopes of his people upon his shoulders, weighted with the wrath of all mankind. Every man, woman, and child from every corner of the all-one super Earth has waited in defiance for you to arrive for 100 years. Humans with no natural psionic powers, no super strength, not a creature like you imbued by the chaos warped space of your monolithic beacons, to be mentally immortal. You, who had 100 years to prepare for war with us, only to be made a mockery while we fight on a total of 3 fronts against 3 enemies. Yet here we are. We don't turn away. Not now. Not ever. We are united against a galaxy that abhors our way of life for no reason except the presumptuous impudence not to embrace our only freedom, to succumb to the darkness and die. After 100 years, your crusade has been defeated, dishonored, with disposable weapons only powerful in numbers, and even disregarded to push back the other foes of humankind. You haven't even fought many of our real warriors, water breather. You have faced mostly farmers from some forgotten corner of the galaxy wearing the ceremonial dress of a willing combatant for the honor of the listed dead. Yet farmers wield enough wrath against creatures like you, teeming and numberless, powered by hive minds, just to hold the line. And do not forget, humankind has held this line from you for 100 years. So what's your reasonable explanation to justify and rationalize your losses, oh great mentally evolved squid? The squith looked utterly shocked, even fearful. Then it roared a battle cry and charged. The attack would be a sideways swing at my right. I dove prone under it, still carrying the other squith's staff. As fast as I could, I placed the bottom speared tip at the helmet of the squith, using his own swing to hammer in the blade into its own saline water-filled helmet. It was the depressurization distraction I needed to club a spiked thermite grenade into the Illuminid's hip. Seconds later, the rocket roared as the squith was blown to chunks. The mission completion pinged into my already ignored and grounded helmet, only to miss the next alert the helmet gave. I pulled back out my squith stabbing knife and slowly walked forward against the unarmed alien. A crunching crash happened in a distance I could not recognize nor acknowledge. The squith had charged, half out of fear, half out of revenge. Then an uncounted number of rounds ended the final squith's life. Words are cheap, but can buy time. My SOS had been answered. I succumbed to the embrace of darkness.